What's up, guys? So today I want to talk about something that I typically shy away from talking about, and that is money. And the reason why I think I don't like to talk about it is because I am not like some financial guru. I'm not some investment mega strategist. I am nothing special. I'm also not that smart, but I have made a few really impactful and important decisions over my career that when I look at, I can really kind of pinpoint that was a decision that changed the financial trajectory of my life. Doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. If you want to change your financial destiny, you can. It's not too late. It's never too late. I'm almost 50 years old and I feel like I'm still trying to figure things out, but I have learned a few things over my career and I've made some decisions that I feel at the time I didn't even realize were so good or they were the right decisions, but they have truly been the things or the decisions that have changed my financial trajectory. The first choice was to give up on my dream. As you guys know, I've talked about it many times. I had only one dream from the age of 12 years old, and that was to own a fitness center. That was the only thing that success was gonna look like to me. And so I went to college, I got a degree, I got out, I met a guy, we actually opened a nutrition store, and I met a woman. I helped her lose 100 pounds, and she wanted to help other people change their life like I helped her change hers. And so she asked me, do you wanna open a gym? I said, yes, this is amazing, and we did it. And as you guys know, that business did not succeed. Not only did it not succeed, it couldn't have been a bigger failure. By the time I basically let things go, I was filing bankruptcy. I had $500,000 in debt. I was driving a beer cart on the weekends to put gas in my car and to give my then girlfriend, now wife, a few bucks for groceries and rent. I felt like the biggest loser in the world, and the worst part about being broke and bankrupt, it wasn't the fact that I didn't have any money. I grew up, I never had any money. The problem was that I didn't know what success looked like anymore. I didn't have that North Star. I didn't know what that North Star looked like anymore. And that was honestly the worst part. In my 30s, I'm driving a beer cart and I didn't know what success looked like. I didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I was only literally 30. And at the time, I felt like all my friends were more successful. Everybody that I knew was doing better than me. And there I am, driving a beer cart, not knowing what to do. Which brought me to the second best decision that changed my life. And that is, I did something that scared me, that I wasn't sure if I was gonna be good at, but it just interested me. And that is YouTube. I picked up a camera. Now, you may be thinking to yourself now, like, well, why? That's an amazing thing, right? Everybody knows that you can be successful on YouTube. This was back in 2008. There were only cat videos and your boy talking about manscaping and shaving his ass. All right, there wasn't money to be made when I started posting videos. It was just something that I thought would be cool and it would be fun. But I didn't know how to do it. I was not tech savvy, but I just kept showing up. I put a video out and I decided to keep putting videos out. And this was the second best decision of my life. It was because I was willing to do something that was uncomfortable. Guys, I cannot stress to you enough. Having the ability to push down the fear of failure, the fear of ridicule, the fear of other people's opinions, and actually do something that scares you, this is where true growth happens. It's also where you are going to realize eventually your big moment, your aha moment. If you would have told me back then in 2008 that I would be making millions from basically having a loud mouth, an outgoing personality, and putting myself out there for the world to ridicule, pick apart, criticize, but also embrace, I would have punched you in the face because that was not what success looked like to me. Which brings me to the third decision, starting a business, Pete and Pedro. I started this business for $3,000. That was my opening inventory, that was my packaging, that was my boxes, that was my shipping containers, that was my label printer, that was my website, that was everything. All in, $3,000. This year, we're gonna do around $10 million. I'm not telling you that to brag, I'm just sharing the fact that, once again, I started small, I grew. I also operated my business for profit. And that's something else you just need to understand. When it comes to business, there's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people you see are not actually making any money. For me, Pete and Pedro was always a make money type of business. All right, I'm not doing this just to basically sell a lot of product if I'm not putting any money in my pocket. You've got to make sure that if you are going to start a business or a side hustle, even if it starts super small, that you focus on profitability. Profit is a good thing. It's an essential thing. If you want to advertise, you need profit. If you want to pay yourself, you need profit. If you want to invest in additional products, you need profit. Do not be afraid to charge what you're worth, whether or not it's a physical product or a service. Starting a business truly changed the trajectory of my life. Something else I want to talk about real quick, and that is marriage and kids. I truly feel like getting married to my wife was another one of those decisions that truly changed the financial trajectory of my life. And the reason is because from that point, when I met her, I stopped chasing, I stopped looking, I stopped utilizing so much of my bandwidth and brain power trying to get sex and date. When I met her and when I locked it down, it was like, wow, I can take this off the table. I don't have to think about it. If I was not married, there is no chance I would be as successful as I am, period. Which brings me to children. One of the other reasons why I feel like I have been able to be as successful as early as I was because I didn't have children. Now, it's not that kids are bad, it's not that kids aren't amazing, but children change the game when it comes to risk tolerance, but also stability. You need to be more stable. You also need to not take as many risks when you have children or when you have a family that's dependent on you, especially if you're the only one making money. I truly feel like if I would have had children, I wouldn't be where I am. And I'm not saying that you should choose that life or that you should choose career or business over children. Not at all. That is not what I'm saying. I'm simply being honest. When I think about the fact that I was able to focus, I was able to take more risks because I didn't have the pressure of providing for kids or a family the way that you would if you had kids or a family. And so for me, I was able to be selfish, and it was like literally my business was my child. I was able to invest the time and the energy in that and help that grow and flourish and be successful, as opposed to taking a lot of my energy and time worrying about and focusing on a child or children. I'm not saying, once again, I'm not saying that money is better than kids or family. I'm not saying that at all. But when I think about the decisions and the choices that I have made that have allowed me to be so financially successful, I know that it does play a part. And the last thing I just want to mention is living below my means and not getting into debt, not overextending myself. Another reason why I've been successful. All right, when I filed bankruptcy, I decided I will never be in a weak financial position again. If I can't afford to pay cash for something, I'm not going to buy it. Now, a lot of people would argue with that and say, oh, that's really a bad use of money. You shouldn't do that. Well, for me, I sleep better at night. I also enjoy not owing anybody or making anybody else rich. And so for me, because I was able to do things or build things or buy things for cash and pay for them, it has allowed me to not have to pay high interest credit cards or high interest debt to somebody else, including mortgage companies, including credit card companies, including anybody. All right, and that's something that makes me feel good. It also makes me sleep better at night, and it allows me to use that extra money and invest it in a more beneficial way. And so anyway, guys, I am not in any way, shape, or form a financial expert. I am not super educated or savvy when it comes to investing. I do what I think makes sense. I live below my means, and I've made some good decisions. At the time, I didn't know how good the decisions were going to be, but gentlemen, keep showing up, keep moving forward, and eventually you are going to be so much more successful than me.